Because of this ongoing toe problem, this hallux rigidus problem in my big toe, I've been using my e-mountain bike more and more. In fact, it's been my salvation. I've been able to get out in the woods and on some of the higher trails. And it suddenly struck me, it's about 2.5 years since I bought this Trek Powerfly 5. So I thought this might be quite a good time to give it a bit of a long-term review. Before I tell you about the bike, it might be quite useful if I explain to you what exactly I use this e-mountain bike for. Now, I'm not the sort of person who seeks out challenging single track. I don't do gnarly downhill runs. I don't do jumps, and I don't do wheelies. I use the e-bike really to go deeper and further and sometimes higher into wild places. The bike can take me to, perhaps on bulldozed tracks up to quite a high place where I can enjoy far-flung views. Or it might just take me around the forest where I can enjoy the autumnal colours at the moment. And if you're constrained by age or injury, or in my case both, then the e-mountain bike really comes into its own as a means of allowing you to stay connected to these wild places. Okay, so I've had this bike now for almost 2.5 years, and in that time I've ridden it for about 3,500 miles. Now that's not huge mileage, but I do use my gravel bike quite a lot as well, mostly on the road and for bike packing. And I guess I use the e-bike mostly for rides of between 15 and 30 miles, sometimes 40 miles. Now, I did suggest in one of my earlier videos, and I'll put the URLs for the 2 earlier reviews I've done on this bike down below, but I did suggest I could get about 60 to 80 miles out of a single battery charge, depending on how I rode the bike and the conditions at the time. I'll probably bring that down a wee bit now to maybe between 45 to 60 miles per charge. Now, I'm not sure if that's because I was initially over-optimistic or whether the battery degrades over time and doesn't hold the same charge as when new. I suspect it might be a wee bit of both. Batteries don't last forever, we all know that, but it's something to keep a close eye on. Now, this battery is a PowerTube 500, and after a couple of months from new, it just stopped working. Just stopped working. Turned out it was a faulty battery, and interestingly, my son and daughter-in-law have had issues with the same make of battery on their bikes. Now, all have been under warranty and were replaced without any quibble at all, and this battery has performed faultlessly ever since then. Now, I've had absolutely no problem with the Bosch Performance CX motor, although I've noticed that dirt and muck and it kind of builds up underneath this protective guard, so you have to unscrew that every so often to give it a good clean out. Now, having said that, the motor itself is well sealed, so it stays nice and clean, and that's the important thing. After about 18 months, I had to replace the drive chain and the cassette, and I've replaced the brake pads twice. And that's maybe not too surprising. The drive chain gets a lot of abuse from rocks and stones and dirt, and I use the brakes quite a lot. As with all e-bikes, this one is heavy. It's about 22k, 50 pounds, and add my own 200 pounds to that, and you'll understand why it takes a bit of brake power to slow it down. The bike came with 29-inch Pontrager XR3 tyres, and I wore the rear tyre down after a couple of years and replaced it with this Michelin tyre. It's got a slightly more aggressive tread on it, and I put the other Pontrager tyre on the back, and I'll probably replace that sometime this winter, probably with another Michelin. Both tyres are tubeless ready, and I keep meaning to go tubeless, but haven't got round to it yet. I've had 2 punctures since I bought the bike, which I guess isn't that bad. So okay, what are the main issues with this bike? Well, I still feel it's a little bit clunky when I change gears, and of course, like most e-bikes, it's heavy. It's a bugger to try and lift over fences or stiles, and I wouldn't ever attempt to lift it onto a rooftop carrier. I use a tow bar mounted bike carrier, and that works well, but you have to be careful. Your bike rack is designed to take this kind of weight. Some of them aren't. So all in all, I've had very few problems. Oh, I lost the battery compartment keys at one point and had to get new keys cut. But fortunately, I'd kept a note of the key number, so a good lesson there. Other than that, the bike has been fantastic and ideal for what I use it for. I paid about £3,000 for it 2.5 years ago. And new 2022 Powerfly 5 models are cost between £3,400 and £3,850. It's a hell of a lot of money for a bike, I know that. But based on my own experience, I'd say it was worth it. These bikes really are fun to ride and change the whole cycling experience, especially for older greybeards like myself. However, part of the reason I ride bikes is simply to keep fit. Can you keep fit on an e-bike? Well, I guess you can, but only if you have a good sense of discipline, because it's so easy to flick it into tour mode or turbo mode when a big hill appears. And since my sense of discipline is pretty crap, I'm aware I'm not as fit as I was when I was only riding non-electric bikes. Now, having said that, riding an e-bike is better than not riding a bike at all. So if you're starting from a low fitness level, it'll certainly help you to get fitter. I ride this bike a lot, but it's my non-electric gravel bike that gets me fit. So there you have it, a long-term review of the Trek Powerfly 5. I still love it to bits, and I reckon I'll be riding it for a few more years yet. So check out my early reviews, and if you found this video helpful or even entertaining, please think about hitting that big red subscribe button. It'll be good to have you along on other videos that I do. So thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.